and I have the case study open, and I'll read it. It says, on a Saturday, you are at home taking care of home and family. When your cell phone rings, you pick up the phone and hear the voice of the recreation therapist who is working the Saturday shift. She lets you know that there has been an accident. The children's mental health group was playing soccer and one of the children fell into a 6-inch deep hole and was being transported to the hospital with a broken femur. You are upset. You had walked to the field on several occasions and reported the issue to the grounds maintenance. You had instructed staff to place cones around any holes in the ground when utilizing the field. The public also used the field, and on multiple occasions customers had brought the issue to your attention, and you had forwarded the information to your administrators. In many ways, this was a preventable accident. You know this. Okay, so the first question is, what are the areas the manager should address for service delivery?
What are the areas they should address service delivery?
And what are the areas the manager should address for service delivery?
Well, like, contacted the administration, and it could have been prevented. As far as went about it,
I think one thing that needed to be addressed, I mean, obviously she has been telling people to put cones there, and I would just be curious, you know, if this individual recreational therapist did that. And if it didn't, then it needs to be something that needs to be addressed again, telling them that, you know, we need to be more careful and take care of our customers, our participants. Because once she lets people know about this problem, it's very similar to the problems Mr. Greenwood talked about in her podcast. You know, once
yeah, I was about to say.
once you let people be aware of the problem, it's kind of out of your hands. So I don't know what else she could do. What else the manager could do.
I think, like, I agree with what you said. Just, like, make sure that her, like, the recreational therapist on site, that they, and then also that they engage and do, like, what they're supposed to be doing. And as long as they do that, then they can't really necessarily be liable if doing their part on it.
Yeah, and I think it becomes a problem where, like, you know, the recreational therapist, you know, because when you're planning an activity, you don't always remember, you know, that side note. Oh yeah, I need to get cones out. But if it does become a persistent problem, then maybe there can be a checklist created, you know, for anyone before they use that field. You know, there's probably lots of different things that you need to prep for an activity, and that should maybe be on that list that they follow. You know, set cones out in any holes in the field, because I mean, this probably isn't going to be the only hole in a field. You know,
Right.
so it could be I don't know, maybe a procedure that they just get used to doing. Maybe do a what's that called? In-service about it.
Yeah.
Making it just, I don't know, maybe more known that it's important.
And I think as far as, like, fixing it, maybe they should, or preventing it, like, go and have it swept, like, the area, like, kind of sweep it as far as for, and then depending on how deep they are, fix them. I mean, they should fix them at any time, but
Yeah. Depending on the access that they have to fields, if this is a I don't know, if they have a different field, then maybe they should maybe use only one
Use that
field.
one instead.
Yeah, and say this other field's off limits until the administration fixes this problem. We can't risk our participants getting injured.
Right. I agree.
Okay, how can the manager better evaluate the service offered? Be specific. How can you evaluate? One way is looking back at incident reports. Is this happening a lot? Are injuries like happening a ton on these fields or this one particular field? Is it with only certain therapists? Maybe it's a therapist that's not watching out, maybe not putting the phones out. If it's only one person that these accidents are happening on, then something needs to be taken care of with that person.
Right, I agree. I think too, documenting along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So not like necessarily a summative documentation, but what is the other one? Formative?
Maybe.
Yeah, where it's like you do it throughout the program, so make note of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then especially if like it affected any kind of playing. So if it say it was just like a little divot, and I don't know, like, I mean, does it say what sport they're playing or what they're doing?
Soccer.
Soccer? Okay. Say some kid runs off a balance. Yeah. I mean, because like if you have an uneven field, like that could definitely, mess up your cleats and everything. I think like anytime that's noted, that would be sufficient and like important to be able to evaluate that in the end.
Yeah, and then like if you can gather like if this is happening regularly, then you can take all this evidence maybe to the administration and push it a little bit and say, you guys aren't giving this the attention it needs. Like, people are getting hurt, and you're going to be held responsible. I've done my part in letting you know on several occasions that this needs to be taken care of. And, if there's maybe even a higher person they can take it to, be like, hey, someone needs to pay attention to this because people are getting hurt.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But maybe that was off topic.
I agree.
How can we better evaluate the service offered? Evaluate. But I think we've kind of said it. Maybe the only other thing you could do is talk to people who are using that field.
To make them aware.
Yeah, that, or just getting feedback on how big of a problem it is. Is this really affecting therapeutic, like the effectiveness of the therapy? Is it how much is it intervening? Is it hindering things? Is it just kind of a minor annoyance? Talk to people, hear what they have to say. Maybe even talk to participants about what they think about the field. Try not to be leading, maybe not mention the whole, but ask them, what do you think of our field? Are there things we can improve? Are there things that you like about our field? I think that would be a good way to evaluate.
I agree. I think like making it, as not as vague as possible, but as open as possible, not biased, so that you really get people's opinion before you put words into their mouth, or like you're saying, put the idea in their mouth that there's a hole there. And then like getting a variety of who you are surveying or asking about. Because if you ask like the participants and then maybe the parents of the participants, then they can even, what kids might tell their parents may not be what they would tell administration.
Yeah.
Like right on the spot, or you know, especially where they're doing, you know, an intervention of soccer or anything like that, they could be like, oh, this was the funnest thing ever, and like completely forget about the whole. Or depending on your position, you know, it could change a whole game as far as, oh, I never was on that side of the field, so I really didn't even know about the whole,
Yeah.
you know. So.
Yeah. Totally. Okay, the final question is, how could creating a service delivery plan prevent negligence or malpractice?
Well, it's like if you have a plan as far as how you're going to present yourself and then also deliver to your clients or your participants as far as service goes, then they're aware, they understand what the expectations are, they understand what they're getting out of your services. And if things were about to, if it were to change, then in part that is being negligent or deviating from the course. Have you taken risk management yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you remember like one of the
A long time ago, though.
Okay, there was a case study in there that this boy signed up for this camp, this summer camp, and all of a sudden they decided to change one of the activities that wasn't mentioned to the parents at all. And we had to drop them off for a week for this, you know, this camp, and it was the parents were gone, and so instead of doing, I think, kayaking that day or something, they decided to do water rescuing.
I remember this. Oh my gosh.
Yes, that was like the most mortifying thing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, because they changed it, they didn't even let anybody know, and then also they didn't even ensure that all the kids were properly trained for that or ready for that. And then the floodgates like opened to this river, and then it was, you know, at the max of river flow, and this boy completely drowned. Like, not only was he not ready for it, but like it was bad timing. They didn't let the kids weren't aware they were doing this, and the parents weren't aware of that they were doing this. So by the time they got a phone call saying their kid drowned, they're like, what do you mean he drowned? He wasn't even supposed to be swimming. So
yeah,
I think that's like a perfect example of, you know, as far as, you know, especially in writing, and like you have it up front to your customers, especially the parents who are paying for your services, and don't deviate from that course.
Yes, and this goes along great with what we were talking about this week in 472 about informed consent. You know, our participants need to know what they're signing up for, because they have the right to decline service, and they have the right to participate and have the right of that choice. We can't take that choice away from them. And I think that needs to be very clear in a service delivery plan, you know, just being aware of what things are going on. And pertaining to this particular case study, you know, making people aware that unfortunately fields may be uneven, you know, like you can't necessarily control that all the time. Right. And just letting people know about risk, you know. I mean, soccer kind of seems like, at least for kids, depending on the age, you know, soccer is kind of an innocent game. Once you get older, it can be brutal. But
I was like, yeah.
But if it's like, you know, more in just like a fun setting, you don't think about things like breaking your femur. You know, you don't think about stepping into a hole and that happening. But
you're trying to kick the ball and get in that goal.
Yeah, like it can happen, and parents need to be aware of it, and so that they, you know, won't go crazy if something happens. I mean, obviously that'll still be a sad thing, but you know, covering your as far as legal wise.
I think just with that, there needs to be like a written form, like a waiver that's signed, kind of like what BYUI has. But I mean, specifically for the field, or at least a section that pertains to the field, when they're signing waiver to be able to participate in whatever they're doing. Just in saying, hey, you know, this field is a grass field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it rains, it gets played on. it's subject to not have a perfect surface, just like the rain weathers out any kind of surface. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I think if that's like, if they have that signed, or at least having a waiver, then that would cover them as well, as far as informed consent and then a service delivery action.
Yeah. I was just rereading this question, and it says, to prevent negligence, I think one way would be going back to having the procedure of putting out phones. Making sure that is because if you don't, then that can be seen. If you are aware of these holes and it has already been said that they need phones, and you don't have phones, then that is negligence on the therapist's part.
Right.
I mean, besides, there's always going to be those unevenness, but if this has been a problem that's been addressed and needs that kind of action, and you don't take that kind of action, it's kind of on your head.
Right. That's true.
So, okay, that was the last question.
Sweet.
Yay! Short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah. And then do we need to discuss the WPO or anything, or just?
I don't think so. I mean, I've seen that you've worked on yours. I was working on mine tonight. I just need to write the policy and procedure for customer service.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'll get it done. And
me too. Working on it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Alrighty. If you need anything else, and then when it's done, and then you can turn it in. So.
Okay.
Okay. Sweet.
All right. Bye.
Bye.